Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and I've got a little bit of a mess on my desk. I decided to start taking out some of the new Club Kit products and just start playing, and the one that intrigued me the most, to be quite honest with you, is the Amazing Die of the Month. This one is a Tiara Trifold. That's the name of the die set, and it calls for the instructions. I printed them out. When I get the samples, like what you see every month, we get access to a PDF of the file that comes with the product that you get when you get them in the mail. But it's a little hard to read when I print it out, but I want to have access to it, easy access, and if I squint, I can see it. Anyway, I can see on my screen the instructions a little bit better, and basically for the trifold, it calls for a 6x12 piece of cardstock. I don't use 12 by 12 cardstock. You can definitely use 12 by 12 pattern paper for this, but of course I've got to try it out in white first. So I am measuring out this this shape die to start off with, and it is exactly like right at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I just realized that this edge, okay, this piece here is not an actual edge, okay? So it's a little bit of an embossed line on one side. This is a perforated edge, which is going to create your fold for your card. So the way that you do this is you line it up with the edge of your cardstock. So I'm going to be lining it up right with the edge there so that I don't have to cut that piece off. Now, if you do put it a little further in, just use your paper trimmer to trim that off. Okay, so this is what that looks like. It does go right there at that edge, so that was perfect, and you can see that perforated edge here, and it cut out the other parts, so that is perfect. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to line up that same edge that doesn't have a cutting blade. It just does a little bit of an embossed line. We're going to line that up with the dotted perforated edge. Now this might be a little bit off. That's the thing, when you're doing doubles, you might have the edge a little bit off, but I think, so I'm gonna go with it. So now I'm gonna run this side through my die cutting machine, and we're gonna see how well I did. Okay. So it looks like everything cut, which is great. And I'll show you what I mean by you're able to make this into a trifold and go further if you've got that longer piece of cardstock, because mine is only 8 1/2 by 11, right? Or 5, it's 5, anyway. Anyway, so you can see we've got another hinge right there. So you know what? That would be kind of be like a cool trifold. Oh, I'm going to have to do that at some point. I'm going to do a Z-fold out of this at some point. But at this point, I can go ahead and cut that down. But look, it does look like it's pretty close. And I'm going to say that that is good enough. It is a little bit off, but you know what? I'm going to go with it. So I'm just going to trim off the rest of this with my paper trimmer. Make sure that that is straight. You can always use your scissors. Okay, I am undecided, as usual, as to how I want to use the rest of this die. So what we've got is, here is again the one we did for the basic shape of our card, right? Then we've got this piece that does a nice little background panel, and I decided to use one of the papers in the card kit of the month, which is this pretty purple. That's this die, so it's kind of an inlay. But you can also add this piece here. Now this one I didn't realize didn't have a line around the edges, so I cut it out one time, just this out of white, and it's like, oh, it just cut out all those little pieces. I don't really want to do that. So what I think I'm going to do is cut out this piece, and what it's going to do is basically cut out that same full panel but have that little inlay there, and I think that that would be really pretty as kind of a see-through element on the front of this. So I'm going to tape my main piece back in place. You guys know me, I am making decisions on the fly. I have never know exactly what I want to do. And then I'm going to put this guy, line it up right inside there, try to make sure it's about equidistant around, away from the edges. Nobody is really going to notice if it's not perfect. But you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to use this one kind of help me line it up in place. That way it's in about the right spot. And this is with me I'm not going to use this other one to cut. but I am going to do that. Although that would be cool too. I just had another idea for a card. These dies are super, super versatile. Because you're able to cut so many different windows, I'm also thinking now a shaker card would be cool with that lattice work on the front. Okay, so I'm going to place this down in my die cutting machine, leaving this part off to the side. Now it's lined up with that perforated edge, so we're good. Put that in there. And yes, I do think it would have been easier to cut this piece off without having to run it through twice, but I did not realize that that's what I wanted to do. And of course, if it messes up, you can always just start over and cut another one. It's just paper, right? Okay, but look at that. You can see all those little cuts in there. Okay, so now what we've got that little see-through lacy piece up at the top. I think that is super pretty. And then I've got this other piece that I cut out earlier. So that is going to be super nice. And then we've got that little white matting edge all the way around. That is real pretty. And this part that's perforated, I'm going to say at the end, that's probably the best time to trim it up. Because that way, if you make any more changes, like what I did, you've got something to go with, right? Okay, so this is really cool too. You get these little bitty lines, but then you get all of these big diamonds that you could use. You could use these completely separate on another card project. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out some of these little greenery swags and some more flowers, and I've already got a bunch of the words already die cut as well. I'm probably going to do at least one more of that, but I want to go ahead and start putting some of these together and see what it's going to look like. I also have some of the flowers and the greenery pieces in white, so I could always color up some more if I decide I want a different color in there. What I think I want to do is use these two lighter greens, but first I'm going to add the trellis to my purple panel. And then I can start adding the greenery and the flowers and all that prettiness to this. This one is pretty much a very feminine card because a trellis can be used for flowers. It can also be used as like fencing or whatever else. So you could use it for a lot of other things besides just a floral card. But I'm kind of sticking to that today. And because this was cut out using the same outline as this, it's real easy to line up because you just line it up with the edges at the bottom and then the rest of it just goes right into place. So it's perfect. And I love this look, which means I'm probably going to be using parts of the trellis for different things. I mean, think about it. You could use just that much, put a piece of white cardstock on the edge, or even line it up with the edge of your card and have it kind of coming off, and it'd still look great. I love that, those diamonds there. That looks very pretty. Now I'm going to add the first of my little swags. I'm not needing to use a lot of glue, and I just refilled this so it's coming out faster than normal. So I don't really have to squeeze it at all. Okay, and I'm going to just put this one down here. I'm going to have the lower branch going a little bit further downwards and the other one having kind of at an angle there so that I can do kind of a crisscross. You'll see what I mean in just a sec. Let me go ahead and put my phone on top of that so that it helps weigh it down while it's adhering. Now I'll go ahead and add some adhesive to this one. Probably my biggest problem with some of these dies is as I'm creating, I'm having all these fun ideas and then I don't have the time to make them all. So this is definitely one of those sets that, although it is a bit frilly, it is one of those that I am going to be revisiting. So now I'm going to position this so that you can see both layers of the leaves. I'm also going to kind of bend up the edges a little bit with my fingers, just to give it a little bit of shape. Break down those fibers a little bit. And an easier way to do that would be on my mouse pad, which is over here, and using a ball stylus. I'm kind of liking this little layout. So what I'm going to do first, and nothing is glued down except for the greenery, I'm going to go ahead and layer up my sentiment. I've got some multiple layers of both words, and I'm going to layer that up to give it some dimension. I'm going to do 3 layers of the white behind a layer of this darker purple that matches those flowers. Now you could always add something even darker than that, and you could also offset this to make it as a shadow. This time around I'm going to have it actually layered up correctly, you know, lined up perfect with the edges. But both ways would look awesome. I'm going to start adhering these little flowers down. And I think I do want to kind of smush them up a little bit more. So I'm just going to hold it on my mouse pad and kind of with my ball stylus, so I can add a little bit more if I need to, and kind of lift some of those petals. This is something I really don't do much, but I felt like they would be kind of flattened out as I glued them. And add a little bit of adhesive to the back. And put it back in place. And then I'm just going to add the other flowers in basically the same way. That one was actually one of the ones that was the most flat. These little ones didn't go as flat as the larger flowers. So they don't really need any zhuzhing. I do like that little bundle, and I could have gone a little bit darker, I think, with the green, but the way it is, the flowers pop and the sentiment pops, and that is about where I like it. Before, I was going to go ahead and add those on right then, but before I do that, I think I want to go ahead and add them to the front of my card panel so that I can make sure that I get, let's say I put this one a little bit crooked, which I shouldn't, but that would also make the sentiment crooked if I put the sentiment on first. If I do the panel first, then adding the sentiment on, I'll make sure that the sentiment is straight. Okay, that looks pretty straight. Okay, there we go. And you can kind of see the shadow a little bit on the other card because of that being cut out there. That is just so pretty. Okay, now I can put my sentiment on. That looks about lined up with the hello, so that looks good. I also have a couple more of those little tiny flowers that I think I'm going to add in as well, kind of as accents up in the top corner on this side and kind of balance it out a little bit more. Kind of like you would do with sequins or gems. That looks really pretty. I am very happy with this set. This is so lovely. But you know what? I'm not quite done. Wait up. Here we go. I do want to put a few little gems on here. Before I do that though, I want to do something else. I am going to add some gems to the front, but on the inside, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of ink blending with the parts that I use for the cardstock that I use to cut out the shapes for the front. I'm going to use them as little stencils. I'm going to use one of these small ones that I've got from Amazon and try them with this. There we go. That is adding a little bit more of that ink right where I want it. And I was going to go lighter, and then of course as I started putting some of this down, I changed my mind. And this piece of cardstock is one that I would have just thrown in the trash. And I am shifting it around a little bit, but that's okay. No one is really going to notice if everything isn't exactly perfect. I only have one more petal to go anyway, so. Or one more leaf. There we go. That's that last one. And I think that looks pretty good. I do need a little bit more ink for one of the leaves though, because it only got a little bit. That looks kind of yellow instead of green. line it back up and add a little bit more in there. So now we've got that little accent on the inside of our card, and I'm debating whether or not I want to put any flowers on because I also have got another stencil that has got the little, well, another piece of cardstock that has got the flowers. I think I might want to do some of the little tiny ones. Let me grab another brush because I do need to clean these now. And then I'm going to use blueberry cheesecake, again from Maker Forte for that. And just add my little tiny flower there. I'm kind of just pouncing it on. That one I'm trying, so I'm actually trying to just experimenting. For that one, and this is one of the first times I'm using this ink. So I went ahead and put one of the medium, the second size of the little flowers, and I'm going to put the little one in the center of that. Line it up as best I can, and add some darker right in the center, and see if that adds a little dimension, which I think it will. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Oh, that is cute. And again, this is just some scrap that I would be throwing away anyway. But now we've got a matching inside of the card to go along with the outside. And next, I'm going to add some little gems in the center of all my little flowers. And that is going to finish up the first card I'm doing. Well, take that back. I do still need to trim off this little bit of raggedness on the edge, and that is from that perforation. I'm just going to trim that off, and you can use your paper trimmer or just use some scissors to kind of clean up that edge, make it smooth, and that is going to finish up this first card using the club kits of the month. I think it turned out lovely, and I'm really, actually, I'm loving all the components on this one. I love the lattice work. I can think of so many ways to use this. The sentiment is nice, and those flowers are just lovely, and I love that little peekaboo window. So be sure to check out this playlist to see some more videos where I'm using Spellbinders products, and check out the unboxing video as well, so you can see all the other things that came in this fun collection this month. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.